Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and we have two special guests on today. They are the founders of CBD Vet Products. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about both of you. I'll let both of you guys do an introduction here.
Great. My name is Kyra Marsigliano, and I'm a veterinarian at Intracoastal West Vet Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm also one of the founders and the chief medical officer for CBD Vet Products.
I'm Katie Green. I'm also a veterinarian, also at Intracoastal West. And then I'm a founder and CEO of CBD Vet Products.
So I found CBD Vet Products a little while back. I was at a rescue event for Fur Sisters, and you guys had a booth set up, and my dogs already take CBD. And so sometimes I kind of wonder with that dropper, putting it on their food, the efficacy, is it getting into the bowl? Are they even consuming it? Are they getting it on the floor? And you guys happen to have a product that I had no idea existed. And so tell everyone a little bit about CBD Vet Products and what you guys offer.
Yeah. So what we've created is a sheet that dissolves on the gums of dogs and cats, and that's infused with CBD. And the things that you just mentioned were part of the inspiration of creating the product is that, it's difficult to get dogs to take oils and chews. They can be messy. It's really hard to, like you said, it's hard to know, did they even get the whole dose? And so this technology, because it just sticks to the gums, kind of like those old like breath strips that would dissolve. Same idea there. And then it's really easy to get it into the pets. They can't spit it out. We know exactly how much they're getting. And one of the really cool things is that we don't lose part of the product to digestion. When you eat a CBD product, whether it's an oil or a chew, you lose about 80 to 90% of that active CBD in digestion. And we don't have that same loss with our product. So we can use lower doses to get the same effects or better.
So I didn't really realize that you would lose some of your dose, but I would assume that if you're consuming it, the stomach acid and the digestive process is eating that up before you fully absorb it. And so your product is being absorbed into the bloodstream almost immediately, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we did a pharmacokinetic study, which is where we gave pets a dose of our product and then took samples of their blood starting at even just 10 minutes after administration and continuing at kind of frequent intervals for 24 hours. And we were able to show that even within 10 minutes, it had started to be absorbed and was detectable in their bloodstream. And this is really, really cool because we have this is the fastest working product out there. And within, about 30 minutes to an hour, it's at pretty peak levels in the bloodstream. And so just as a comparison, a lot of the oils and chews, it takes about 2 hours for them to kind of metabolize it and absorb it into their bloodstream. And so this is so much faster that we're able to, and especially in a lot of the situations that, pets benefit from CBD, getting it into them faster is really cool.
Yeah. And I want to get into some of those uses and benefits, but one question, and I know, because I've already looked at your website. How did you guys get started, or kind of what was the inspiration here?
Yeah. So it was a kind of a happy accident almost. I was working part-time for an in-home hospice and end-of-life care practice. and was speaking with a client about their dog and was talking about CBD. And they said, well, what do you recommend? And this was in 2018 when things were just kind of starting to come out. And I said, well, I don't know. There's this one and that one. And then I made an offhand comment of, a veterinarian should really start a CBD company because then it would be easy for me to recommend it. I could trust that it's a good, effective, safe product. And the son of that client said, oh, I used to work in cannabis farms out west. We should totally do that. Thought he was just, I said, here's my number, didn't think anything of it. And then he called me a week later and said, oh, really? I want to do it. And I said, okay. And then I got Kyra in. And since then, forgot to mention earlier, Kyra just finished a master's in cannabis pharmacology from the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy.
Oh, awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So she's the only veterinarian in the world that has this dual degree. So that really gives us that deep science knowledge to be able to make a really good product.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was a
Yeah.
degree. And I love to go to school. So, hey, maybe I'll go back and go in.
There you go. Yeah, totally.
And the degree through their School of Pharmacy at University of Maryland, it kind of was open to lots of people with lots of different backgrounds. So I was the only veterinarian kind of in the cohort, but they had, nurses and pharmacists, like human pharmacists and human physicians. But then they also had a lot of like non-medical people. They had some lawyers as well that were interested in cannabis law. And then even just kind of like patient advocates, people whose family members had been affected and whose lives have been improved by cannabis and CBD and that sort of stuff. And so it was like a very good curriculum, very thorough, but they were also able to break everything down for kind of the different experiences that the students brought into the program.
That's awesome. So that might kind of lead in, or some of your knowledge might lead into like the next question. So, and some people know and some people don't know, but what are some of the uses and benefits of CBD?
So probably one of the most common uses is situational anxiety or stress. So thunderstorms, fireworks, vet visits, car rides, all of those things that make pets really stressed out. Has really great effects in it. One of the great things we've found too is that our product works once they're already stressed. And if you have a pet that is stressed with a thunderstorm, let's say, you have probably experienced, you come home, thunderstorm's already happening, the dog is already super worked up, and you can give them all the drugs in the whole medicine cabinet and they are still stressed. And then once the storm ends, they sleep for 2 days. Well, with our product, it will help bring their anxiety down, their stress levels, so that they can have a normal day, which is so cool, but it also doesn't sedate them. So then we don't have that side effect of, sleeping and being groggy. They can be normal dogs. That's probably one of the biggest things. We use it a ton for pain. So you're, post-surgical, arthritis, things like that. And then a little bit of use in conjunction with other medications for seizures. Also, there is some new work in allergies and so inflammation of the skin, really a lot of inflammatory processes. And then one of the new really cool things is for THC toxicity. Dogs do not tolerate high levels of THC very well, and our product works essentially like an antidote to reverse those effects and bring them back into normal function.
And THC is the kind of active compound in marijuana and those types of like cannabis products that people are using, but dogs really hate it and don't have a good time. And so they kind of, it can be very stressful to if a pet has gotten into a THC containing product. And they are becoming much more common, and these kind of accidental exposures are becoming a more more frequent thing, especially at a lot of veterinary ERs trying to treat these dogs. And there isn't really any treatment, really available to help the dogs. A lot of it is just supportive care and making them kind of keeping them quiet, and kind of letting their bodies just metabolize the compound. But what we've been able to see is our product kind of bring them back down to normal, and not have those signs that they show when they have that THC toxicity. So they'll like dribble urine uncontrollably. They'll be very kind of like staggery in their gait, and very, kind of like hyper reflexive or about kind of external stimuli like lights and sounds, whatever. They'll be very flinchy about it. And so within about 45 minutes, they're able to feel better and kind of just go back home and not need to be hospitalized in a dark room on fluids and, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, was prior to finding out that CBD could kind of reverse those THC consumption effects, what were the vets doing? Because I've heard of vets just being like, well, here's fluid, good luck.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't really anything else other than, there are some people, they were trying like charcoal to absorb it. Doesn't work that well. There's some fancy IV medications that we use for other types of toxicities that have been tried. Also doesn't really work that well. And so a lot of it was just kind of waiting it out. And it can take, 12 to 24 hours if you do nothing or just supportive like fluids and things like that, for them to come back to normal. And now, with this product, in less than an hour, we can be back to normal, back home, no need to stay in the hospital overnight.
Right.
Pretty cool.
And your product is so easy to travel with. So I've actually seen on TikTok a lot lately, like you check into your Airbnb or your hotel or you're, just walking around, or you go to a restaurant and your dog consumes some type of THC, and then you're out of town, you don't know what to do. You try to find an ER vet. Maybe you don't have one nearby. So, I mean, this could really be a game changer, especially for people who are traveling with their dogs. And whether that's to reverse the effects of THC or kind of some of the ways that I'm thinking about it as well. Like if you take your dog hiking, their joints might be kind of achy, creaky. They might be kind of sore, get down in their back. Or like when we fly with our dogs, sometimes they don't love it. One of our dogs, if we give him trazodone, he's out. Good night. He's done for 12, 14 hours. Our other dog, you can give her 17 doses of trazodone and you can even mix it with gabapentin and she's never going to fall asleep. So like having something like this where I could just pop it in her mouth and it will take effect, during our flight or perhaps before if I give it to her at the right time. I think it's really going to change the market, and it's attainable. It's inexpensive. It's easy to travel with. So, I mean, we've talked about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just that was another thing that was really important to us, was accessibility. There are some good CBD products on the market, in the oils and the chew forms that are quality products. However, they're very expensive, and a lot of clients just can't afford that, especially if it's a condition that they need to use it every day. And that was one of our big goals, was to try to make it to be in a price bracket that most people, as many people as possible could afford it. So that's been really important. And we always forget that to mention, but we are really, we try to be as sustainable as possible. So our outer packaging is compostable and our inner packaging is recyclable. And I always forget to say that because it is important for the
it
world.
Is, yeah.
Try to do that as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and talking about pricing, we used to have a CBD brand that we absolutely loved it, and it just got a little bit out of reach with respect to price. And I was referring people to it, and it's been about 2 years since I've kind of sent this out, but people are like, I can't afford that. I'm not buying that. So like you said, there's some other good products, but some of the better ones are definitely more costly. And then unfortunately, some of the cheaper ones, people are like, well, it didn't do anything. And it's like, well, it was probably just some derivative with a hemp oil in it and some additives. That's why it didn't work. So I think you guys have kind of struck that middle ground there of like, not too expensive, but still good quality. And so, we've talked about what makes your product different from some of the others on the market. It's absorbed the fastest. Like we talked about, it's high quality. You guys get all of your CBD. Is it from Colorado?
Colorado and Washington, depending
Okay.
on and Oregon, like depending on the crops. But everything's American sourced, American made, and then the product's produced here in Florida. So
Okay.
yeah.
And then for the strips, are all of the strips the same milligram, same dosage?
Yeah, so it's all 10 milligrams per sheet, but it's dosed based on your pet's weight. So if you have like an under 20-pound dog, for example, the sheets, it's all evenly distributed, and so you just have to fold the sheets in half and then in half again, and it will really easily come into quarters, and so then that's like your dose for your little guys.
It tears along with
it's just kind of like tears, so you don't have to cut it or anything like that, but that way it's really simple. We didn't have to have, a ton of different sizes and things.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then
one other important feature I think is it's chicken flavored because we found that was like a very palatable flavor, but it's fine for dogs with food allergies because it's actually like a vegan chicken flavor, so there's no animal protein in it, and it shouldn't cross-react with any dogs that have any food allergies. And we've had success with lots of dogs with known food allergies being on it. We have lots of our patients on it, obviously, and elsewhere as well. Yeah. And so no issues with that, but that's another thing that another feature that we often forget to highlight.
Yeah. I've kind of seen that come up in conversation lately. Gosh, I forget who it was, and probably Joe Schmo and whoever from the street, but they were like, chicken is the most common allergy in dogs. And the other guy's like, well, it's actually beef. And so they were kind of going back and forth, and I had never heard of chicken being such a high, I guess, so high on the allergy scale.
Because there are a lot more chicken products out there than there are beef products, so you run into it a lot more. So I think it's more the frequency that it gets identified.
And food allergies in pets are actually relatively uncommon. I think we hear about it a lot, but percentage-wise of pets, there's not that many pets with food allergies, but the ones that do, they are typically to protein sources. So they are the meat in the product rather than like the carbohydrate source. And so it was, it's important to make something that was not going to be reactive. But yeah, sometimes that's a little confusing when people see chicken.
That's common.
Yeah. And it's a
lot of times it is chicken. Yeah.
It's like a vegan flavoring, so I can take it. No,
it's totally and it's made of a human grade facility, so it's
we grade products like components.
Yeah,
we've definitely taken it ourselves. Even just when kind of testing it out, doing some beta testing early on. But then more importantly, kind of as we've gone to kind of like vendor events, and if we didn't have an NSAID for a headache or a backache as we're doing these long days, we would take some of our product. And it tastes like unsalted chicken ramen, and then has a wave of bitter after, which I think I'm more sensitive to than like a lot of people. But I'm like, get me like a giant bottle of water. I gotta flush that down.
Yeah.
But
I'd be like, oh, I have Listerine strips, and they'd just be like the little CBD strips, just passing them out to people.
Yeah, there you go.
Like roasted chicken, but the dogs love it.
Yeah, I do.
Like we have to fight one of our dogs to get him to just try to put it on these gums. He wants to rip it out of our hands. And while we're on that, it's a very safe product. You can't really, you physically can't overdose from CBD. And kind of the studies that have shown kind of like the side effects, kind of not like quite toxicity, but like when you take like hundreds of milligrams at a time, there's reports that it can cause diarrhea. Those products though were like the oils. And so is it that the dogs were getting almost like a pancreatitis, or they're having, kind of a GI signs from the fat in the product rather than from the CBD itself.
I would be suspicious that it was the oil causing the diarrhea.
Right. Not
right.
CBD itself. But
yeah.
The dog would have to eat just, hundreds of packages of it. It's just, it's really,
and so
you would have to try, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And our dog has gotten into several. Yeah, there's been several instances where he's gotten into many pouches of the at once. And then again, luckily, like it's not sedating. So he was just like super chill and just hanging out, but not having any change in his like mental state, not feeling weird or anything like that. Just hey, we'll hang out on the couch.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's good. It's like very safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like people with CBD. If you're taking a very high quality CBD, you probably can't overdo it. Now, high quality, that means something different to everyone, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So final kind of thing here, where can people find you? Like, what's your website, social media, plug all of that?
Yeah, totally. So our website, you can either go to cbdvetproducts.us or SimpliSolve.com. Both will take you to our products. And then Facebook and Instagram are CBD Vet Products. I think we have a Twitter, but I don't know that anything is ever posted there. So
and then Instagram too, right?
Yep. Facebook and Instagram are both CBD Vet Products.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
For having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.